Hi, welcome to the Divorce This House program. Two things to get out of the way very quickly for you. What is this program about? It is about the subject of divorce, specifically how it relates to real estate and how you as a real estate professional can be a great participant, a great asset to the divorcing couple. The end goal of the program, the end goal for a divorcing couple is that two people have eligibility for home ownership at the end of the process. Far too often in the process of divorce, people end up doing things that are immensely destructive to them financially. And one of the greatest among those is what to do with the marital house. Should it be kept? Should it be sold? If it should be kept, who should it be kept by? And what is that asset mean financially? There's a big difference between a $500,000 home, that's an asset, and a $500,000 401k. These are vastly different things. So the Divorce This House program looks to educate real estate professionals. That includes divorce attorneys, financial planners, real estate agents, lenders, occasionally home inspectors, so they can guide people through this arduous process of divorce. And along the way, as a professional, attract great business to you. The next thing to get out of the way is how in the world does a home inspector from Jacksonville, Florida, end up teaching the introduction to Divorce This House, not only in Jacksonville, but across the country, thanks to the wonders of modern technology. Well, about a decade ago, I was in a mastermind and mentoring group. We had a meeting in Dallas, Texas, and two wonderful ladies were there and presented to us, and they introduced us to the Divorce This House program. Over these years, we've looked for different ways to collaborate together to help real estate agents, to help people to get this information. And over this past year, one of the founders, Wendy Wassel, said to me, "Gosh, Wally, you enjoy presenting, you present well, you've got an amazing reach and network of people. Why don't you do the intros?" And I said, I would be happy to do that. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to spend less than an hour on the introduction. And really the goal there is to get you familiar with the program so you can decide if it's appropriate for you. If you decide it's appropriate for you, you'll be able to complete the program. There are 3 3-hour live webinars, so live just like this, webinar just like this. They occur about every other week. In order to get all of the detail that and register at a discount, the website for that is www.wally, that's me, W-A-L-L-Y, divorcethishouse.com. If I stick the Wally in the front, you get a discount. A disclaimer, I am not paid to deliver this material to you. I am not paid if you should register and complete the whole program. I do this because I've discovered a long time ago, the more things I can do to help real estate professionals grow their business, the more things we end up doing collaboratively together. And knowing that we've been in 40,000 homes as a home inspection company, and several thousand of those involve divorce, it's a challenging and unpleasant time. I see the adversarial position very often between the two former spouses or soon-to-be former spouses. I see the stress that puts on the real estate people, the lenders and whatnot. So collaboratively, we can make it just a little bit easier to get those two people out the other end so that both have eligibility for home ownership, whether that ends up being in the marital home for one of them or elsewhere. So that is how we will do that. I've got the Q&A up. If you get something on your mind, just stick it right in there. I'll be sure we get to it. I've also got a divorce expert on here with us today, Gail Nekovich, who is a divorce financial counselor. She is brilliant at assuring that people make good financial decisions as it relates to divorce. So Gail may chirp in, or she may be the one responding to your question, or I can get you in contact with her. All right, the divorce real estate niche, a quick overview on it. The question becomes why? Why would a real estate agent be interested in this divorce thing? Gosh, it must not be any fun. It's very cantankerous. Well, sometimes it can be, but the idea is with a little bit of education, a little bit of foresight, we can make it much better for both of those people. Also, divorce is evergreen. It's not going away, no matter what's happening to home sales, what's happening to the economy, what's happening with COVID-19. I read an article earlier today that in the month of April, divorce filings, this is the national statistic, are up 30%. That's amazing. That's millions of people who were saying safer at home, found out they didn't get along so well at home with the pressures of being together, the pressures of homeschooling, the pressures of losing jobs. They're divorcing like crazy, and they desperately need our help. COVID will pass. Divorce won't. It's here to stay. We're going to take a good hard look at divorce statistics so that in your area, for those of you who are here in my immediate area, in the area around Jacksonville, Florida, we'll do a deep dive on the specifics of this region, but they scale. So we're in an area of about 1.3 million people. As we look at the numbers, I will tell you that they look the same just about everywhere. So if you're in an area of 10 million, they're 10 times as large. If you're in an area of 100,000, they shrink a bit in raw numbers, but per capita wise, will give you a very good feel of what this niche looks like. And then we'll also talk about lawyers. What you'll discover in the Divorce This House program as you move forward with us is lawyers are an incredible source. So the real estate agent is an incredible source for lenders and appraisers and home inspectors and title companies. You know what that relationship looks like. As it relates to divorce real estate, divorce attorneys are looking for professional allies to assist them in guiding that divorcing couple through the disposition of property and or to find that next place where one or more of them will live, where their children will live. They're looking for that. We're going to talk a lot about that relationship with the divorce attorneys, what that looks like, how to attract them, and how not to attract them that will harm you tremendously. So why? Why in the world would you even consider specializing in divorce real estate? One of the reasons, as we've mentioned, is it's evergreen, it's only getting larger, and there are woefully few real estate agents who have that expertise. There is a significant percentage of real estate agents, higher than the population at large, who've been divorced, which is different than having expertise in going through divorce or guiding others. So yes, your own experience of you individually, your friend, a family member, parent, spouse, children, well, obviously if your spouse got divorced, you did too. But you get the idea. This is about turning this into a professional service and really doing it well. It's a point of differentiation. You've learned since day one in real estate that there are riches and niches, and that is absolutely positively true. There are riches and niches. One of the challenges is most niches, many niches, are overcrowded. They look so attractive that people go there. In the greater Jacksonville area, let's just say Queens Harbor real estate. Wouldn't it be great to be the queen of Queens Harbor? Yes, it would. There are 2 or 3 folks who do immensely well in there. It's a relatively small space, and it's a relatively crowded space. When we look at the size of the divorce space, which we'll do in great detail shortly, there is room for everyone. It is monstrous. Yet it becomes a unique point of differentiation because so few agents recognize it as a niche specialty, and virtually none, other than those who have been involved with us in the Divorce This House program, leverage it or market it or network it as a distinguishing difference in their real estate business. The next is it's technology resistant. Divorce will always be here. There won't become a Zillow or a Trulia or a Redfin where this all happens online. It's immensely personal. It's immensely relational. It's immensely dependent upon relationship and strength of relationship. When you build a professional relationship as a Divorce This House specialist with someone going through divorce, that is a tight relationship that has a tremendous referral position in it. And I'll be showing you that shortly. Next is changes in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. For the longest time, thanks to the National Association of Realtors, we have advocated that mortgage interest is deductible, that owning a home is a tremendous asset to you and a tax benefit. That is not so true these last couple of years. Since the standard deduction has gone so high, the vast majority of homeowners, the standard deduction, which is I believe $23,000 now for a couple, exceeds their mortgage interest payment and their other deductions. So the standard deduction is as or more valuable than the interest deduction once was. Why is that important? Because when we're giving people advice, when we're working in consultation with the divorce financial planners, we're working in consultation with the divorce attorneys, there's a balance sheet. In Florida, it's very well defined. It's an affidavit of asset and income. And it's almost like the WDO report in that it doesn't really answer questions very well. It gets all this information on there, but it doesn't blend well. And when we're not familiar with how this asset known as the house relates also to expenses, whether that's maintenance and upkeep and repair and the tax positions, we can inadvertently give people information that we believe to be correct, was correct in years gone by, but does damage to them. Why is that important? Because if a person makes a decision, a good decision on the wrong information, they end up, and this is very common for the house spouse, the spouse who ends up with the marital house suddenly discovers they can't afford to keep it. And in the process of discovering they can't afford to keep it, they're doing credit damage, they're doing other damage to themselves, where they end up losing that house and the ability to purchase another. We want to stop that. So how are we going to do that? It's by recognizing this, in fact, is an underserved market. For those of you who may have experienced divorce in your own family, I would ask you the question, did you come out of this thing better financially than you went in? Rarely is that answer a yes. And for those who were able to retain the marital house, did that asset really play out over time, or did it become a huge financial burden or albatross? Some cases, yes, some cases, no. The Divorce This House program, not all today, but in the 3 follow-on 3-hour live webinars, should you choose to proceed, we'll put all of those things in place so you can really give great guidance. Here is the end goal, that 2 adults, both adults, those divorcing spouses, both 2 of them, retain eligibility to be the homeowner. For some reason or other, it's very natural that those divorcing spouses each believes they're entitled to or should be the one to retain the marital house. Sometimes that's because of children and who may have primary custody. Sometimes that has to do with who had the money to put into it. Sometimes it has to do with who was working, who wasn't. But when you distill it down, it's an immensely emotional decision. What we're doing through the Divorce This House program is giving you, the real estate professional, the mindset and a skill set to help them see it as unemotional as possible to the asset that it actually is. And sometimes that asset is a great positive to one of the individuals. Sometimes it's a great negative to those 2 individuals. And the goal is that they, in concert with your divorce attorney and your guidance, make the right decision. It is honest to say, and also sad to say, that 40% of all couples in America end up getting divorced. I'll show you how harsh that is when we get into the statistics. Too often, the ramp up to divorce, especially now in this COVID-19, there are other financial challenges. They say financial challenges, the #1 cause of divorce. When we get in a situation where we've unemployed 30 million people in the last 30 days, we know that's an amazing stressor. There are mortgages not getting paid. There are association dues not getting paid. There's maintenance not getting paid. The pool's not getting cared to. All of this deferred maintenance is being pushed forward. All of these forbearances and whatnot run the risk of foreclosure. That can occur in the ramp up to disclosure, to divorce. Often this leads to bankruptcy. We need to be proactive in helping people walk that backwards. And by being proactive, we'll be preventative so that we're not putting 2 people into foreclosure, we're not putting 2 people into bankruptcy, and we're not removing 2 people from the ability to own a home, an individual home, anytime in the next 5, sometimes 10 years, depending on the damage and how long it takes to really fess up. When we have a problem in housing, that is, when an individual or 2 individuals leave the housing marketplace, they also do damage not just to themselves, but also to the real estate agents, the buying agents, the listing agents, the staging companies, the home inspection companies, the pest companies, all of those businesses that are anchored by real estate suffer. And when they suffer, there's additional financial hardships that results in additional problems, and it feeds itself. What you and I are working on together in the Divorce This House designation program is a way to slow that process and eliminate that from occurring in your own sphere, your professional, personal sphere. One of the worst things that can happen in a divorce is the 2 divorcing people in concert with their divorce attorneys, right? Seldom do they have the same attorney, and other people are guiding them, they just can't come to an agreement. The only thing more contentious than the house in a divorce is the children. And the house is seen as, I won, I got the house. And if they have that attitude, and they can't work through that attitude in an equitable way, the court will decide. Virtually always, or more often than not, when the court makes the decision on who gets the marital house, they do the King Solomon thing. They split the baby and order it sold. And when they order it sold, they order it sold with a timeline and a deadline. And that is not a 6-month listing agreement. It's get it sold and get it sold right now. Here's what we also know. The maintenance, the cleaning, the care has typically not occurred. And we end up in a situation with a court-appointed sale where it's very, very, very difficult to get the equity back out of that house. They're underselling, we're selling too quick, it's desperation. And very often one or both spouses end up driven to bring money to closing. So we took two people who had an asset that had equity, we evaporated the equity, and we also evaporated any other savings they may have had, in some cases incur further debt. They've incurred further debt in the disposition of the house. The likelihood that one or both of them are going to become homeowners individually in the near future is very, very small. The Divorce This House program positions us to reduce that likelihood. Divorce disasters, yes, aside from the impact on family and impact on individual finance, very often that financial impact leads to foreclosure and bankruptcy. All too often there's a huge fight over the marital house, only to see it in foreclosure in the next year or two after that, sometimes even quicker. And also hand in hand with that is often bankruptcy. You'll see the bankruptcy occur very commonly, you'll learn in the Divorce This House program, as an exit from the foreclosure. So, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Sometimes as a part of the bankruptcy, there's foreclosure. Sometimes in the process of foreclosure, there's bankruptcy. These are bad things that are 5, 8, 10 years to recover on. And again, how soon they recover depends how soon it happens. So if there's a year ramping up to the divorce, and then there's a year, another year after that where they discovered, I'm moving toward foreclosure, I'm moving toward bankruptcy. From the initial beginning of challenge, we may be 3 to 4 years into this mess, and then 7 years for the bankruptcy to fall off to credit. So it could be an entire decade where we've ruined that person. And as importantly, to our community, to the real estate profession, to your individual business, we've taken them who would have been a great referral source, right? You would love to work with them, they'd love to work with you. The process has made it impossible. Ruined credit beyond just the impact on housing. There's automobiles, there's other things that they may choose or need to use credit for, they can no longer do. And all too often this results in selling solo. What do we mean by that? It means the house is disposed of after the divorce. They're upside down, they're inside out, things are going completely bizarre. They get a CMA from a real estate agent. The place is now a mess. They realize they're upside down in the house because they had taken a second mortgage through the course of the so and all these other bad things, and now they're a FSBO. It just gets worse and worse and worse. We need to work together to prevent that. How we're going to do that is by completely shifting the focus. That's what we do in the Divorce This House program, to working proactively as consumer advocates to protect and educate people, to give them everything they need to make great decisions. Up to this point, many real estate agents were immensely well-intended, and they focused on what they knew, and they did what they knew the best they could. And it had a negative outcome over time, sometimes small time, sometimes long time, for the individual divorcing. We're going through the Divorce This House education program, put an end to that so that the guidance you give serves them well, yes, through the divorce, post-divorce, and then for the rest of their financial and real estate lives. I want to give a reminder for those of you just checking in. We're doing an introduction to the Divorce This House program. I'm not compensated to do this. I don't make anything to do this. I like the program. I like real estate agents. I respect the challenges of divorce, and we're blending those things together. To complete the program, there are 3 3-hour live webinars with the founders and developers of the program, Kelly Murray, and I'll introduce you to her in a minute, and Wendy Wassel. They're essentially 3 lunch and learns, and they happen about every other week. You can get all those dates online if you go to the right spot. because of the way we're doing this with COVID-19, what they're doing is doing them remote, doing them much like you and I now, and they're doing them at a discount. If you go to divorcethishouse.com, you won't see the discount, and you won't see the webinars. What you will, so what you got to do, you go to Wally, W-A-L-L-Y .divorcethishouse.com. That will get you the discounts. That will get the webinars that have been set up as these 3 lunch and learns we're talking about. And again, I'm not compensated. I think this is important. And I hope we work together moving forward. So the goal, preserving home ownership eligibility for both of the divorcing spouses. That is the goal. Why is that the goal? From a professional sense, that is a self-serving real estate sense. Divorce, as we said, is evergreen. I want to show you how green it can really be. One divorce is easily 3 transactions. How is that? There's the listing of the marital residence, transaction number 1. Wife buys a house, that's transaction number 2. Husband buys a house, that's transaction number 3. If the wife and husband both purchase one of your listings, that's 5. That is 5 transactions in very tight window from 1 referral to 1 couple from 1 real estate attorney. The numbers on this get mind-boggling. I'll show you that in just a minute. No one disagrees that children thrive in a home a parent owns. It doesn't mean if they don't own a home, they're not good parents. Doesn't mean it can't work out well. But universally, home ownership is associated with strong community binds, strong family binds, and a solidarity and a comfort and a safety for people. So we want to put both spouses in a position that, yes, they can each have a home, so that the children, they will have more than 1 bedroom, but there'll be a solid, not a solitude, what do we call that? A strength, a security, that's the word. There'll be a security to that they have 2 rooms, and that's good for them. So we're focusing on home ownership, and we're focusing on consumer protection, and that consumer protection is proactive, proactive, proactive. By doing the things, by doing the type of marketing, the type of networking, and the type of relationship development, which we do heavily in the next 3 sessions, is so that people go, whoa, I'm in a divorce. When your market materials and when you're doing things that says, I am a divorce this house specialist, this is my area of expertise, that is like catnip. It just, bang, people recognize that. You also will discover there's an incredible referral position in the divorce house, this house program, very much because many times when people divorce, they go to different geographies. So there's a very active network of people referring back and forth. Oops. All right, so let's take a look at statistics. I'm going to give you a general overview, and then I'm going to do a deep dive for my Jacksonville friends. There's a document, it's called this, Divorce in Jacksonville. It was commissioned by the city. It was done by Florida State University, by the Institute of Science and Public Affairs. A lot of deep data. We're going to use this deep data because I live in Jacksonville, and many of you live in Jacksonville, and it is representative of what occurs across the country. Also, I'll be sending you this handout, which is guide you through the program we just did. I also will be sending you the slides so you can digest that and share that and use it as a guide. When I send you these things, it's a little bit dangerous. And it's dangerous because, gosh, Wally, you did a good job presenting that. I understand that. You sent me these great handouts. I think I can do this on my own. Not a good idea. I'll tell you what it's equivalent of. It's the equivalent of when a young couple watches HGTV and they go, you know what, I don't need a real estate agent. I can do all this myself. We want to guide you through this, through the whole program. So 40% of couples in America who get married end up divorced. That's interesting. 55% of divorcing spouses, basically half of those, get married again, and they do so, the majority, within 3 years. This is a referral bonanza. Buying and selling, buying and selling. Well, how does all that happen? Well, it's interesting. So here it is, they got divorced, right? 40%. Bam, now they're each in their own house. Half of those people are going to marry again within 3 years. That new spouse is not all that enthused about going into that old marital house. nor are they necessarily enthused going into the bachelor house. What do they want to do? They want to sell that house and get our marital house. It is truly, truly, truly evergreen. We're going to take a quiz because quizzes are fun. And gosh, how do we really have education without a little bit of quiz? No, you don't have to send it to me. However, I want you to take this quiz along with me. It'll be great fun. Scream out loud, or you can even stick it in the Q&A if you like. So, question number 1. When are most divorces filed? When during the course of the year? Got your thought? Final answer? All right. So they peak just about now. They peak, at the end of March. This is actually the end of April as I'm doing this. But they begin to really accelerate. Why is that? Because if we look at what happens in the end of the year, let's all get together for Thanksgiving, and then let's do Christmas, and let's do Hanukkah, and let's do New Year's. We got all this intensity and people making New Year's resolutions. And then one of them says, honey, my New Year's resolution is I'm out of here. And that just happens. I'm not advocating that or making fun of that or making light of that. It happens. That's what the chart looks like. They're peaking about now, those filings. And this is a fascinating time right now with COVID-19. Courthouses are shut down. There's all this craziness going on. We're accelerating filings. We're having this pent-up demand. The people who are wiser than I on these things are anticipating we're going to see almost, I hate to say flattening of the curve, but it's climbing, and it's going to stay as an accelerated, heavy, heavy, heavy number of divorces probably into summer. Though traditionally it backs off as summer comes. That's everybody moving into their new house, right? What happens in general real estate when spring and summer come along? Whoa, we're all moving again. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe some of those were divorced people. Ooh, maybe there's another way to, capitalize on it. And then divorce filings slow down again in the fall. Why is that? Kids back in school is one of the leading things, right? Where it's how it is. Now, when you look at your real estate career in general real estate, what does your sales curve generally look like? It's the opposite of this. Things go dark and dormant, right? Maybe from November toward March, and then they start moving again and taper off again in the fall. What this program will do, the Divorce This House program, I'll give you that website again, Wally, W-I-L-L-Y, divorcethishouse.com. When you complete this program, what happens is we took the regular annual cycles in many people's real estate career, and then we meld that with a divorce cycle. What we see is a flattening of the curve. And it's not flat low, it's flat high. And for the people who've really embraced the program, we see the highs are even higher. It's just been incredible. Which spouse is your target in the divorce? It's not a boy or girl question. It's really, is it the house spouse or the out spouse? Let's define those two terms. The house spouse is the one who anticipates staying in the marital house. The out spouse is the one who anticipates being out of the marital house. And very often, by the time you're involved, they've already decided who's out and they ain't coming back and who's in the house. Now, the house spouse may still decide to dispose of the house, but that's how they usually shake out. In a marketing and business development sense, it's more often than not the house spouse who is your entry into this process of divorce in real estate. So it's the house spouse that we are, you might say, targeting or focusing on. It's not to say the out spouse isn't a part of the program, but more often than not, the house spouse is who you'll be dealing with first. So when, during the divorce timeline, can you help the most? Earlier. The earlier we're involved, before mediation. Why before mediation? Because that's where people are starting to agree. If they agree to something based on the information that they have, they very often end up regretting it post-divorce because they didn't have your expertise and guidance in real estate and how it impacts divorce, how it impacts finance, so they make the right decisions. Back to it, in Florida specifically, there's that financial affidavit, like the WDO report. You got to fill it out correct. And when you fill it out correct, it doesn't give very good information. It just puts numbers on things. And those numbers don't talk. Some of those numbers, like a 401k, that number tends to get larger. It will produce income and it has no expense. Some of those assets, that number tends to have an expense and is subject to ups and downs in the marketplace. It's not liquid. There's a lot of reasons where it's apples to apples. And even if they're the same price, they don't taste the same. So we want to be in there early so that you're triaging, you're helping them become business partners in what to do with this asset. And it's fascinating. Almost every real estate agent says it's the largest purchase you'll ever make. It's the largest financial asset you have. So we have two people who have a shared asset that they totally disagree on. Their lives are in disarray. They can't answer any questions together, or they'd still be married. And we're looking for them to make a financial decision on what to do with this giant asset. They desperately need you and your expertise at Divorce This House. So there's a particular segment of the population who has experienced a double divorce rate since 1990. It continues to accelerate. It's getting worse, not better. And those are senior divorces. The gray divorces, we think of those as 50 and above, and silver divorces, 65 and above. I am about to transition from silver to gray. I'll be 65 in September, though I have no intention or interest in becoming divorced. I have tremendous interest in helping you learn to accelerate your real estate career, helping this group of people that needs us desperately. More good news in a business development sense, more bad news in an emotional sense. 65% of second and third marriages fail. Holy smoly. Remember that one referral from that one divorce attorney that got you 3 or 5, and then both spouses came back to you when they bought, and then they got remarried, and then they did this and this. You know, over the course of a decade, you might end up with 20 referrals from what started as a single referral from a divorce agent. Your results may vary. You may end up with less. And 2/3 of divorces are filed by women. That's a little interesting. That goes back to, it correlates, though it's not a causation, to the house spouse, you know, who's where, who's filing, and what occurred. Let's talk about lawyers just a little bit. How many lawyers, how many clients does the average divorce attorney have? This is a full-time divorce attorney. You know, there's a lot of attorneys. I do a little divorce, I do a little bit of probate, I do a little bit of real estate. Not those, just the ones who do it all day, every day. How many clients do they have in a month on average? Let me ask you, how many transactions on average do you have in a month? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 5? Average divorce attorney has 20 to 50 or more clients filing to divorce in their office in a singular month. Half of those own real estate. That's a national statistic. It varies practically neighborhood to neighborhood. So if you're a divorce attorney with an office in Ponte Vedra, it's much higher than 50%. If you're a divorce attorney, maybe somewhere on the west side or a more rural area, a less affluent area, it's going to be less. Much like the farms you're already working, right? You already have a feel where the money sits. Not to say you shouldn't work in those other areas, or you can, or this won't augment, but it's helping you understand how large this market is. One divorce attorney, the average divorce attorney, does more than 10 times the number of transactions a month as a average real estate agent, even what we might call a good real estate agent, 50% own property. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on Jacksonville specific divorces. Comes right out of this document, Divorce in Jacksonville. I'll send this to you. And as I mentioned, I'll also send you the handout for this program. To be honest, when we first started doing this program, we always did it in person, and I would just hand it to you. But I guess I should have sent it to you for registering, but I'm going to get it to you. We're doing a good job following along. All right. So in my hand right here, I have some of the statistics I pulled out. And this is the Jacksonville market. And for those of you not in Jacksonville, Jacksonville is about 1.3 million people in the metropolitan area. The local real estate board has about 10,000 agents. And when you really get out to that whole 1.3, the metropolitan service area, there's closer to 15,000 agents. That would take in Amelia Island, all the way down the Palm Coast, basically St. Augustine. But anyway, here's a quiz, just for fun. How many full-time divorce attorneys have an office in Jacksonville, Florida? 242. 242 divorce attorneys specialize in divorce in Jacksonville, averaging 20 to 50 divorce clients per month. Not a bad business. So what does that mean? The average number of divorces is in Jacksonville. It's between 4,000 and 5,000. If we take that national number that said since the advent of COVID-19, this first month, the month of April, we see a 30% uptick, we would reasonably expect 6,000 to 8,000 divorces in the greater Jacksonville area. Last year, there were 30,000 homes sold. Take a look at what this looks like. 30,000 homes sold. Let's make believe there's 7,500 divorces. And let's make believe both of those people want to own their own home. That's 15,000 potential homes sold. Will that number really be 50,000? No, it won't. One of the reasons it won't is because there's not enough graduates of the Divorce This House program to guide people through this to retain eligibility for home ownership. But you can't argue with the math. It is mind-boggling. And know also, divorce lives in every neighborhood, right? Wherever your existing farm is, a lot of those folks are getting divorced. It's not a happy thing, but it's the reality that you can help them when you're properly schooled. All right. So David Letterman used to do a top 10 list, the top 10 things. And many of you have been to instructional programs of mine before. I like that. Top 10 things, top 10 list, top 10 things agents say to complicate their broker's day. I have before me on this little list that I extracted from the Divorce in Jacksonville statistical analysis, the top 10 cities in Florida per capita for divorce. All right. Number 10, and this is per capita, right? So it's not raw numbers. So Miami being so big would probably have the highest raw number of divorces. We're looking at per capita. Why per capita? Because it scales. How many people are there? How many real estate agents are there? So per capita means what's your fair share? How are you going to get it? All right, number 10 in the state of Florida for per capita divorce, Green Cove Springs, very close by. Number 9, Arcadia. Number 8, also close to Jacksonville, Palatka. Number 7, McClenny, pretty close. Number 6, Mariana. Number 5, Springfield. Number 4 in per capita divorces in the state of Florida, Lake City. What's interesting about so many of these little suburbs or towns or villages around Jacksonville is often after divorce, people are moving from their exact town and they're going a town or two over. So we got people coming, we got people going, and your expertise will draw from other than just the area that you principally market. Number 4 was Lake City. Number 3 is Stark, very close also. Number 2, Defuniak Springs, and the number 1 per capita town in the state of Florida divorce, where 11% of the population, this is mind-boggling, the population age 15 or older. So if we went 18 and older, this number would be higher, 21 and older would be even higher. But for some reason, the statistical analysis looked at Floridians age 15 and over, the per capita divorce rate, the number 1 city in Florida, 11%, meaning 11% of the people in this city who are age 15 or over are divorced, is Live Oak. Not too far from here either. Kind of interesting. Kind of sad, but kind of interesting. Something else that happens, and this happens a lot in rural areas and a lot in high income areas, is a single divorce may have multiple pieces of real estate. This is very common with high income earners, very common with real estate investors, quite frankly. People that are in apartments and strip malls and warehouses, medical practices, lawyers getting divorced, believe it or not. People who tend to own a lot of investment property. One divorce, in the example here, could be as many as 12 or more pieces of property that need to be disposed of and need to be disposed of now. Interestingly, a lot of times when there's a portfolio of property, the types of property in the portfolio may be beyond your specific area of expertise. So it could be warehouses, it could be investment portfolios of multifamily housing, it could be a lot of different things, which is why I'm also such an advocate of referral relationships with other real estate professionals that do things that you don't. One of my other duties here in Jacksonville is I co-chair, along with Nicole Ryan from Exit Realty. She's does the commercial side. The Commercial Alliance of Realtors, CAR. The Commercial Alliance of Realtors is a council, much like WCR and many of the others, the Mandarin councils and whatnot. But the Commercial Alliance of Realtors is an education and networking group that meets and greets and educates people who are in commercial, people who like to be in commercial, people who are considering commercial, and people who have things to refer. And remember this, when most commercial agents don't want to deal with houses, they want to refer it. Most real estate agents don't typically do commercial, real commercial. Every now and then they do a house over in Avondale that used to be a house, now it's a doctor's office. But anyway, be thinking about those things. So how do we bring about this positive change? We bring this positive change about, like so many other things, through education and networking, education and networking. And that's what the intention was when Professor Kelly Murray, who is an attorney, put this program together along with her mom. Her mom, Wendy Wassel, was a real estate agent and a stager. Kelly was a lawyer. Between their personal experiences and their professional experiences, that we've got to do something about this. We can make a difference. And that's where the Divorce This House program came together. I met Kelly and Wendy, as I say, about a decade ago in Dallas. We've been in pretty regular contact since then. We've been a part of their program since then, and it's my goal to bring it to you. Kelly, very, very bright woman, went to Stanford, also Harvard Law, was a classmate, I'm told, of Barack Obama's, and is on the faculty at Vanderbilt University. She's got the chops, the credentials, the experience, and the skill set, which is interesting. But because she is a professor at Vanderbilt, and because she is an attorney of great regard, she is uniquely suited to bring this program to us. And that is who you will be with for the next 3 sessions of the program. For those of you who may have joined a little late, we're doing an introductory program today. The complete program is 3 webinars, each 3 hours long. And all of the dates are online and the discount for you online. It's a Divorce This House program, but there's a special website so that they can give you a divorce because you know me. Give you a divorce, give you a discount. If you know me too good, you'll end up with a divorce. Anyway, so put Wally in there first. WALLY.divorcethishouse.com. That will get you the discount. It will get you access to the programs they built for us. And you can go to divorcethishouse.com. You can do that. You will pay more. Don't call me, as some people have done, and say, hey, I signed up somewhere else and it was more expensive. That's not my fault. I'm not getting paid to do this, and I'm not paying for your discount, nor am I explaining why they don't have as many choices as they do at the Wally sites, because we built this to do it together. That's why. So let's talk about education and credentials. Real estate people tend to like credentials, GRIs, CRS. I'm actually a GRI instructor. I'm the only GRI instructor, home inspector in the country. And I have a lot of respect for these designations. This designation is not issued by NAR, so don't think that it is. It was developed by Professor Murray, built by Professor Murray, implemented by Professor Murray and also Wendy. So that's how that works, right? The idea is to get you the credential, get the experience, so that when you go through our program and you learn to approach, you learn to network, you learn how to do the marketing with lawyers, like, oh, now it's not true that every lawyer you talk to will have heard of the program. But if you get the beginning of the conversation, as you talk through what the program is and your experiences and how your experience can blend it with the program, can serve their clients, you're going to be in a very good spot. So it's a market that is screaming for new referral partners. There are other Divorce This House attorneys around the country who have people relocating, and there's few, if any, places they can turn. And there are lawyers who are looking for guidance, and they don't yet know what they're looking for. And what we've built is a community, the Divorce This House community. They have a website, a private chat, other meetings and trainings and things we're always doing to elevate the expertise and to elevate the knowledge and network each with the other. It's not honest to say that every single person who participates with us in the Divorce This House program is the right fit for you. It's the same in your real estate board. It's the same if you're a GRI, a CRS. It's not kumbaya. It's a bunch of like-minded professionals matching up to do more business together. And mind you, it isn't only real estate agents. Yes, that plays a good piece of it, but there are divorce attorneys, there are lenders who've been specially educated, home inspectors like myself. Home inspection plays a big role in this, as you'll see over time, much different than you're accustomed to. But anyway, it's a sense of community. A word about lawyers. How many lawyers do you need to really grow a nice business for you? Honestly, that begins with how big your business presently is and how big you'd like it to be. I shared with you earlier that each divorce attorney, full-time divorce attorney, has 20 to 50 clients. And there are 242 full-time divorce attorneys just in Jacksonville alone. So if you had one divorce attorney who had only 10 clients a month, only half of them had houses, that's 5. It would seem fairly easy to take those 5 and turn that into 1 additional sale a month and all the other lead generation things that come from that at no cost, right? Unlike so many other things, Zillow being the prime example, no one is asking you for your money. It's not a quid pro quo. No one's asking you to pay for lead. Nobody's asking you to share in leads. All we're looking to do is educate so we can attract, retain, and build referral positions from those leads for individual agents who then can collaborate together. That's all we're doing. So it doesn't take a large number. So here's what you cannot do. Don't do this. Don't, after, I'm going to send you the stats, I'm going to send you the handout. You've got already, your wheels are turning on, oh, this is what I'm going to go do. This is how I can add them into my drip campaign. Don't do that. I'm going to beg you to do 2 things. Don't reach out to divorce attorneys unless and until you've completed the program. And don't reach out to divorce attorneys the way that you've been taught by, I'm not picking on Tom Ferry, great guy, Tom Ferry or through Bold. Don't do those things to lawyers. It won't work. It's right up there with doing those things trying to solicit doctors. Just doesn't work. So dropping off your flyers, your cards, your brochures, or mass mailers, don't do it. Cold calls and dropping in, don't do it. Don't ask them for listings, rather ask them for referrals when you have the conversation, right? You're talking about, tell me, how can I help? Let me share with you how I may be able to help. And they're going to offer, once you demonstrate value, it's going to be a floodgate. Don't brag about your statistics. They're not impressed with how many transactions you closed or how many millions you produced. What they want to know is if they're sending you 2 to 5 or 10 referral positions, individuals every single month, can you guide them comfortably and compassionately through the process? That's what they want to know. The last thing they want is any high pressure on those people who are already in a tremendously anxious and emotional state. So there's a little bit of hand-holding, there's a little bit of compassion, and it's relatively simple to do when you understand the process, okay? Don't do those things. Lawyers respond best to professional introductions. Don't we all? I would love it if you introduced to me to your favorite 5 real estate agents. I would love it if you introduced this program to other people in your office. Said, hey man, I did this Divorce This House program. Wally Conway did a nice job on it. Keep an eye on their website, on Facebook. If they send you an invite, it was really worth the time. I would love and respect and appreciate those referrals to the program. You feel the same way, right? We all want those referrals, and they're best when there's a warm introduction. So the best way to meet these people, divorce attorneys, is through people that you know who they already know. What's a great way to find them? I'm going to do a program over the next couple of weeks on LinkedIn, finding lawyers for divorce through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a fabulous, fabulous lead source when you learn to work it. You may have been divorced. You may reach out to your divorce attorney. You may know other attorneys who you're comfortable with and can have an open conversation who will lead you to divorce attorneys that they know, friends and family members who've been divorced, somebody's got a son, a daughter, or a spouse who's a divorce attorney. Especially early on, while you're learning the process, you're learning to perform well, you don't want to ruin the opportunity of going up to a really strong divorce attorney in a really strong firm and being told no before you were ready to be told yes. That's why the training. Okay? Lawyers, we want them to perceive you as a colleague, not as a vendor. When you get calls from attorneys, you want that to be, hey, Wally, I got this client, we're working with this, here's the situation. What do you think about that? You want to be in a consultative position. When you're in a consultative position with an attorney outside of an individual transaction, they know when to send the transaction. You don't need to ask. You need to become a trusted consultant to them. One of the reasons we do this program, this is very honest. I want you to know that I've done this hundreds and thousands of times. And when you invite HomePro into your transaction, this is not something new. This is something we've done for decades and something we've done hundreds, if not thousands of times, and something we've educated agents on all over the country. It may be new to you. It's not new to us. We can help you do this really well and help you to make those initial entrances into real estate attorneys. Each lawyer is also a great source for other professional referrals not getting divorced. So with all the angst and challenge that happens in a divorce transaction, it is a transaction, right? When you navigate that professionally, when you're a consultative partner to that divorce attorney and their sphere is buying and selling houses, who would they naturally trust? They've seen you operate in their arena. They've seen you operate in one of the most challenging arenas there is, and you did it with class, you did it with style, you did it with sensitivity. And they're like, you know, my doctor buddy Bob's buying a place on the ocean front, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to give him your name. Sure. And very often these referrals, you'll get the call, hey, Wally, I'm sending you a friend of mine. I just want to let you know to expect the call. Perfect. They're not calling saying, hey, Wally, call my friend. They need this. It's a different relationship with attorneys playing at this level where you've demonstrated that trust position through the divorce. So that, my friends, is the introduction to Divorce This House. What do we do next? The next thing to do is register for the complete program. All of the details are at Wally, W-A-L-L-Y, .divorcethishouse.com. By using that full thing, you'll get a $100 discount. The program is normally $600. It's only going to be $500. And you also will see the webinar dates. It's live with Kelly. She's better than me in some ways and different than me than others, but and it will also be significantly more interactive. I am not in a place to be able to take a lot of your questions because I'm not a lawyer. I can talk a whole lot about the program. I can talk a whole about my experiences and things we may be able to do together. If anybody's got a question for me, stick it right there in the Q&A section. We're also streaming this live on Facebook. So if you happen to be one of the many people watching this on Facebook Live, I can't get to those questions because of the format of the Zoom, but just stick it in there and I will reach out to you. You can DM me, you can email, you can call the office. So I want to thank you very, very, very much for being with us. If I can help you in any way as it relates to this program. Oh, one of the other things I'll send you, this is one of about 30 programs that we do. Last year in 2019, I did 103 live presentations, predominantly in Jacksonville, but elsewhere around the state and other places around the country. We're on track to do 200 live presentations this year, and we're not going to do that. It's just live presentations are gone. So what we've done, all 30 of the things we've been teaching all across the state, we are doing in this same format. And we're doing it in an interesting format rather than a 3-hour CE. The vast majority of them, we shrunk them into a 1 hour, sort of like a lunch and learn, this type of a thing, where you can get in, get out, get the thought, get the education. We're sending out the materials, the follow-up, and having a good time. I'll send you that. My last ask for you is I would be grateful. I would be very appreciative. Firstly, to those that we've done business with before, I'm really grateful to you. Even during this COVID-19, we're very strong. We have not let any of the 15 staff members go. We're in a very good place. We're going to be in a greater place over the next group of weeks and months. I will do anything I can do to help you grow your business. If you'd like to be do a studio interview with me. I'd love to promote you that way. If you'd like to do these programs for your company, your office, or your team, I would love to do that with and for you. If we can sit and have a one-on-one, whether it's on Zoom or here in the office when it's appropriate. So I am dedicated. I've been dedicated for a quarter century to helping real estate agents grow their business with the great thought that then we can do beautiful business together. So I respect you. I appreciate you. I promised we'd be done by 2, and we are 3 minutes ahead of the program. So thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.